How's everybody doing? All right, great. We're in a series here at the Vine. We started it a couple weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, Danny kicked it off, and we got underway last week. We're talking about flee. There are 4 places in the New Testament where the writers of Scripture tell us, in the midst of ongoing spiritual development and spiritual battle, spiritual resistance, which all of life tends to have a portion of that, there are 4 times when you don't fight, you just run. You just run. And in the words of the great prophet Kenny Rogers, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and you got to know when to run. And that's what this series has been about, knowing when to run. Here are your 4 times in the New Testament that it mentions the concept of flee. Flee idolatry, flee sexual immorality, flee youthful passions, and flee the love of money. Last week we kicked it off with a discussion around idolatry, and this week, even more fun, let's talk about sexual immorality. There you go. All right, and for everybody in the room that's like, I don't know if this applies to me, let me just mentally check out. Stay with me for just a moment, okay? Just a moment. And even if the exercise this morning for you is just rounding out a deeper understanding of your own spiritual and biblical worldview, let's let it be that for this morning, just to keep you engaged. My bet, maybe there's a little bit of challenge for everybody along the way. Here we go. The passage of Scripture that we're talking about comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 18, says this: flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside the body, but whoever sins sexually sins against their own body. Boom. We'll just have prayer and altar call. Let's just see what happens. Here we go. Let's talk about this. Let's define some terms as we get going really quickly. Sexual immorality, specifically in the New Testament, comes from the Greek word porneia, which has a variety of understandings and a variety of things that get addressed in this. Sexual immorality is a big arena that includes specifically things out of the Old Testament, as wild as bestiality and all the way to uncommitted sex outside of a marriage. It's a wide spectrum of things that this is dealing with. Are you with me? Reminder, just real quick, that Paul's writing to a polytheistic culture, and for them, they have included a sexual immorality inside of worship experiences within this culture. So Paul is addressing a lot when he says this. So for today, I'm like, we got to narrow it down just a little bit to have this discussion, okay? Just a little bit, because I don't know if we can touch on everything. Have you ever read Leviticus chapter 19? Wild. Here we go. I got to narrow it down just a little bit, all right? How about this for today? Working definition I'm going to work with. For all the biblical scholars in the room, I understand that this definition is incomplete. I'm still going to work within this definition. I got the mic. This is how we do it. Here we go. Are you ready? The gift of sexuality, perverted by sin and selfishness. That's how I'm going to define sexual immorality today. The gift of sexuality, perverted by sin and selfishness. If you were taking notes, this would be that point you'd write something down, okay? The gift of sexuality, perverted by sin and selfishness. Okay, so let me work through this a little bit. The first thing we start out with, and the church has been historically not the greatest on this, and I mean the global church, the church of Jesus Christ, the people of God in the world, the kingdom of God in the world, has not always done well in the arena of human sexuality. And so today, let's start on the positive. From God, gift from God. Obviously, if you're you're 17, you're growing up, and all you hear is negative around sexuality, you're like, why did God give us this? And if I like it so much, and then, he says no, it seems wild, right? Gift from God, right? Let's start there. Gift from God, great. But we're talking about the power of this gift. This gift's a little bit like dynamite, meaning that used in the right ways, very useful, very powerful. Explosion, right, of power. Okay, never mind. But you know what I'm saying? Used in the right way, good stuff, right? Used in the wrong way can be a little bit detrimental. Maybe a lot detrimental. Here you go. A couple ways that human sexuality is powerful. It's powerful in the extent that the Bible points out God gives us the ability to multiply. What? The ability to, he literally says in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, go and be fruitful, right? Blessed and be fruitful and multiply. That is a wild thing, right? Like, can you imagine? You can just multiply. You could multiply today. Some of you shouldn't, but you could. You could. You could. We have enough of some of you. All right, second way that this is powerful. Second way this is powerful. It's powerful in the fact that you can be united. You can be in union with someone, right? Remember, Genesis chapter 2 says, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother, and the husband will be joined to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. One flesh. That happens actually in the physical, and it also is in the spiritual. These things are tied together in this very powerful way. You are united to someone, bonded to someone. That's one of the ways in which human sexuality is powerful. Third way human sexuality is powerful. It's powerful in that it strengthens the bond and the relationship that takes place inside of a committed love between two people. It strengthens that relationship. Reminder that in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, Paul writes, this is wild. For some of us, this is going to be new, but get this. Paul actually writes to married couples and says, you should not stop having sex because and the only reason you should stop having sex is for a short time of prayer, and you should commit right back to your sexual relationship because that protects you, strengthens you, and protects you against temptation. And everybody in the room who grew up looking down upon everybody else who was sexually immoral forgets that the Bible also says that there's a strengthening factor that comes with the blessing within human sexuality. And check this out, last but not least, it has the power to destroy. It has the power to destroy. Remember, Jesus says, when pressed, I tell you that if anyone divorces his wife except for sexual immorality or marital unfaithfulness, he commits adultery. Think that through. It has the power to unite. It has the power to strengthen. And misused, it has the power to destroy. That's a powerful deal. Dynamite. Are you with me? All right. All that's just the setup. Today, I want to do like an exercise. And for everybody in the room, this is a little bit of a challenge. We're going to exercise together. You ready? Mental exercise together. Okay? I spent most of this week in preparation for this thinking, what does this mean? Right? And can we explore this together just briefly today? Look at this really quickly. Flee sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside the body, but whoever sins sexually sins against their own body. Sins against their own body. Sins against their own body. What does that mean? Thank you very much. I went down the rabbit hole this week. Down deep in the rabbit hole of sins against his own body. All right, so I'd like to give you a made-up illustration. And for everybody in this room, that as I start the illustration, you think, well, that's not me. I understand that. So you're looking in, and that's okay. Stay with me. You ready? Let's pretend that you were, I don't know, a 17-year-old boy, okay? And for everybody that's like, well, I'm out. It's okay. This is just an illustration, okay? Let's pretend that's the deal. And let's pretend that you are constantly using some social media like Instagram. And I know if you're like 17 and Instagram's out already, I get it. But let's just pretend for everybody here that that's what you were doing. 2 billion users, 2 billion active monthly users are on Instagram. Do you know how many people live in the world? 2 billion people are using this one app actively. 45 minutes a day is the average of those users. The average of those users, if you narrow down that demographic to just 17-year-old boys and girls. Trust me, it goes way up exponentially. Hours of daily use. Hours of daily use. And if you're like, that seems crazy, it's not. It's not crazy. That's reality. In fact, if you're saying to yourself right now, that seems crazy, I had no idea, this is why this illustration is important, okay? This is a reality check for everybody in the room. Now, when you open up your Instagram Explore page, and if everybody's like, I don't know what that is, if you open up your Instagram Explore page, there is an algorithm that is sending you what the algorithm believes you are interested in. Are you with me? There's a computer somewhere, some thing that I don't understand, that every time I click on something, now that algorithm says, this is what he likes, and is sending me more of that into my search page. Are you with me? Now hold on just a second. Go back. Just one thing. Don't go ahead. I'll call for it in a minute. So check this out. If you're a 17-year-old boy and you click on, let's say, a bikini picture of some girl that you go to school with, are you with me? Now the algorithm says, you know what this dude likes? Navels, okay? This dude likes navels. And it starts sending more and more and more of those pictures. Okay, everybody following, right? Now here's the thing about Instagram. This is a lesson you didn't need this morning, but remember it's an illustration, you're staying with me, okay? You're focused for just a moment. So now on Instagram, there's no way for you to link, right, directly from Instagram. So you use another app inside of Instagram. We call this Linktree. Are you with me? Now on Linktree, every one of these profiles that you click on has another tree where if you click on their profile, it gives you all of their other content that are on other sites. Whether that's YouTube, whether that's TikTok, whether that's something, whether it's Etsy and something they're selling, whether it's their podcast, whether it's what they like to listen to, their music, everything is on there. Are you with me? You click on that because you're interested in whatever. Remember, you're a 17-year-old boy. We know what you're interested in. You're clicking on that. And then the next thing you know, up on that site is a connection to OnlyFans. Are you with me? And if you're like, I don't know what that is, it's going to get good. Here we go. Are you ready? Now, on OnlyFans, the girl that you saw on Instagram, right, that was like, man, this girl, whew, amazing. Now you're on her OnlyFans, which is a private site that's personalized by this person who is sending out, on most average, some level of pornographic pictures, video, material to its individual users. There are 377 million OnlyFans subscribers today. Yeah, if you're like, whoa, that seems like a lot, it's going to get exponentially more. 377 million users today. They average somewhere between $4.99 a month in monthly subscription to $49.99 a month in monthly subscription. Somewhere in the mean. The average price for monthly subscription on OnlyFans is $9.99 a month. The content creators, the individual people creating content that pushes out to their subscribers on OnlyFans, the average income that they have, is only $180 a month. That's average, meaning that they make content, send it out to their subscribers. They're making, on average, $180 a month. But that's the average. Some people, a select group of amazing people on OnlyFans are making, and get this, I'm not kidding you, up to $20 million a month. And if you're like, that can't be right, listen to me. I was down the rabbit hole, okay? And I'm looking around, okay? Okay, not that level. I'm down the rabbit hole. Think about this. This is wild. Look at this. Now remember, the illustration is, this is the part that's wild, and I want you to think this through. You're 17. Now you've connected to a site with a pretty nominal subscription fee. And once you click on one of those sites and pay that subscription fee, get this, now you're receiving, this is wild, personalized content from that creator. Personalized pornographic content from that creator. Okay? Now get this. This is crazy. You ready? Bananas. You're 17, which means in addition to being driven by a lot of biology and other things, you're also generally an idiot, okay? And so, and I mean that with nothing but love and respect, but generally speaking, okay? All of you've been there, you know. Now, as you enter the site and get this, you're receiving not just access like an Instagram to view the site, you are receiving constant, daily, multiple times a day, content update personalized to you. Now here's the thing. That's not from the content creator. It's from a bot. It's from a bot. A bot writes you at like noon and says, hey, I just took this new photo shoot and you're going to love it, right? Here's one of my pictures. Bing. Oh, and by the way, for an extra $5, you can see all of it in the video. Now, here's the thing. It's not her. It's a bot, right? Now you go, $5, absolutely, right? Boom, $5, you pay it. Now you got content coming in even more, right? Because remember, this is a business. When the content comes in, a ding hits again. Boom, another ding. Hey, what do you think? That too, not her, a bot, okay? Hey, what do you think? Do you like it? Are you excited? Tell me how excited you are. Show me how excited you are. Now you're in a conversation with a bot. Are you with me? You're responding to an algorithm. You're talking to an algorithm. And you're sending pictures of yourself back to the algorithm because you're 17, you're an idiot. Okay? Are you with me? Are you with what's happening? Now, and if you're like, I'm not sure why any of this is important. Because we're at a level in our world where things have changed so rapidly because of technology that sexual immorality, specifically sexual immorality related to lust and pornography and all of these things, is exponentially more powerful than it's ever been. It's personalized. You're getting constant update, constant influx of materials, constant stuff coming in. Are you with me? All of this is happening. And you're conversating and connecting. And this is a wild kind of set of outcomes. All right? Now, with that in mind, I just want to lay out some cases here. Let's pretend that an evolutionary biologist looked into this particular illustration that I just gave. An evolutionary biologist who explains everything through an evolutionary point of view and a worldview. I myself am not an evolutionary biologist, don't necessarily agree with evolutionary theory, but let's just pretend that you were a scientist, evolutionary biologist, looking into the new reality that exists in this area of our world, okay? How would you explain it? Well, an evolutionary biologist might say something like this. An evolutionary biologist might say, there's something going on in the body. In the body, right? That's how an evolutionary biologist assesses. There's something going on at the body level, inside of the body. Now get this. This is where it gets crazy. You ready? Here's the thing. I don't know if you know this. This might be a surprise to everybody in the room too, or maybe not. America is fat, generally speaking, okay? And I know, you ready? We're getting fatter. We're getting fatter. Pretty much since the 1980s, we've been on an absolute, just incline, straight up the chart, straight up the graph of fatness. We are good at being fat. Are you with me? And I mean that with love to all of my fat brothers and sisters. We're good at being fat. We like to be fat. Now, here's the thing. If you're thinking, I'm not sure how this connects to anything too, follow this. Are you ready? Follow this just for a second. What happens? An evolutionary biologist looks at it and says, for hundreds and thousands of years, humans, when they wanted to eat, had to do certain things. They had to farm, they had to hunt, and they had to fish. Are you with me? But now we live in a world where, get this, you don't have to do any of those things, any of that work, and you have constant access to chemically engineered food. Food that is chemically engineered to be savory and salty and sweet and all of the things that your biology craves out of preservation to stay alive. But it's exponentially engineered to keep you wanting more and eating more, and with no effort, with no work, with no true buy-in. Are you with me? That is also true when it comes to lust. That's also true when it comes to sexual gratification in our current environment. Are you with me? And so now, you don't, think about this. It used to be there were certain levels of buy-in and work and effort that came to form relationship and receive in that relationship some level of sexual gratification and commitment and connection. Now, there's none of that. There's whole sites that are dedicated to people who have opted out of all relationships and now only interact with AI-created people of the opposite sex that they're in a relationship with. And if you think that's crazy or an overstatement, you've just not kept up with what's going on. It's wild. Bananas. Are you with me? No pun intended. Are you with me? All right, so sex and food are connected in our current culture in that way. Ask yourself this. What happens when there's no effort, no true effort to get food or to get sexual connection and gratification? What happens when food and sex are engineered to make you crave more, but it's not making us healthy? What happens? That's what an evolutionary biologist would say, okay? Now, every time you listen to evolutionary biologists, and this is what they'll also say, it's not that all this is bad, it's just that some of this has gotten out of control, blah, blah, blah. Because any evolutionary biologist or scientist is not going to make a moral statement. They're just looking at the evidence of what it's doing to your body. Second group, a neuroscientist. A neuroscientist might say something like this. A neuroscientist would say, hey, well, there's something really going on in your brain. That's the problem. There's something going on inside of your brain. That's the problem with this world that we live in, lust, pornography, all of these things, this disconnection of sex and sexuality from relationship and human commitment, all of that. The problem is it's in your brain. That's the real answer, right? A neuroscientist looks at it through that lens. I read this week. This is great. If you haven't read this, you should write this one down. This is good stuff. This is called The Molecule of More. The Molecule of More. Can you pull that up for me? This is by a guy named Long and Lieberman. Both these guys are neuroscientists. They look specifically, this whole book is dedicated to the concept of what happens in your brain around the chemical release of dopamine, which is connected to things like addiction, addictive patterns, compulsive patterns, things like drugs, things like sex, things like pornography, all of these things, right? Specifically, this addresses what's actually going on in your brain. Because what happens is, as you go up and up, you're looking for this dopamine release, which is this chemical that gets released into your brain during pleasure moments. chemical release inside of your brain. But what happens is when you get one of those high-end chemical releases that's specifically engineered, things like food and things like sex in our current modern culture, there's also an amazing dive. And it's not a dive back down to the baseline, it's a dive below the baseline, which feels like an absolute crash in our current modern culture. That's why when you go to Publix and you're going, I need a pub sub, let me get this giant foot-long, buffalo chicken finger sub, and you're looking at it and it's like, this is gonna be amazing. And then you eat it and you're like, oh God, what just happened, right? Like your whole body's like, I'm gonna need a nap. It's gonna be 2 hours. Call me in 2 hours, right? Like going in, it feels so good, right? And then on the way out, you're just like, what? I don't even know. That's too much. It's too much. Are you with me? This is the concept of dopamine release, highs and lows, and going below your marker. Now, here's the funny thing. What these neuroscientists have figured out is there's a completely different place in your brain and completely different chemicals that are being released on the issue of want versus like. When you want something, the molecule of more, dopamine, when you want something, when you're going after this thing to attain this thing that you assess about happiness and pleasure, when you want it, that's a dopamine release, that's one thing. Problem is, for most of us, we realize this, you don't even need to be a neuroscientist to realize this, you get that one thing, and then liking that one thing versus wanting that one thing, two very different deals. Anybody who's ever bought a car and had like buyer's remorse or car owner remorse or any of that stuff, or now you have a payment and you're like, I don't even know what we're doing. What were we thinking? This is insane. But going in, you're like, we have to have it, right? That's the problem. That's the problem. Are you with me? Now get this. If you're looking for great information on this, when it specifically comes to the issue of pornography and the intake of pornography, when you're looking for that, Huberman, this is great stuff. I listened to this week, great podcast. You can look this up if you want to. Peterson and Huberman. Huberman is a neuroscientist, brilliant neuroscientist, very popular right now, on a ton of podcasts, has his own podcast, does all his own stuff. It's always so comical to listen to these guys, because I don't know what Huberman's faith tradition is. I don't know if he has any faith at all. I don't know. But he's a neuroscientist. And the neuroscience is pretty much in stone on this. It's not like there's a lot of flux to it, right? So when he's talking about the issue of lust and pornography and what you're doing to your mind, of course he's just given the science. And the science is, it's astounding how it shapes and creates this negative loop in your mind, this is wild. He's basically, and he's always so funny because he's always like, well, I don't want to say that pornography is all bad, blah, blah, because that would be a moral statement. And for a scientist, that's crazy. But what he basically says is this: you're training your mind daily to just be a voyeur. You're not training your mind for human connection. You're not training your mind for intimate connection. You're not training your mind for any sort of selfless connection. It's all about viewing something, not participating in something, which is shaping really powerful outcomes inside, especially if young people have unfettered access in a way that probably most of the adults in this room never did have access to, more and more intense and narrowing focuses inside of pornography. It's pretty wild. Second to last. What if you were a theologian? What if you were a theologian or a philosopher and you were looking into this problem? The 17-year-old who's gone down this rabbit hole and entered into this kind of hyper level of response of sexual lust and all this kind of stuff. What happens, and how would you explain it, right? Well, if you're a theologian, you might say this. You might say, there's something going on in the soul, right? In the soul. If you're a biologist, it's the body. If you're a neuroscience, it's the brain. But if you're a theologian, it's like, hey, there's something happening at the soul level, and it's not good. And you don't have to be a theologian to go, yeah, that makes sense. Because everything about the illustration I just gave you today is centered in the concept of personal selfishness. It's the highest form within sexuality of selfishness. Pornography and these intense levels of pornography viewing, this is all about you in your own mind looking in and viewing, and it's the ultimate form and we all know where that's going, release of sexual selfish gratification. Yeah. Are you with me? Now think that through for just a moment. The theologians are looking at it and going, this can't be good. There's a soul problem, and at the soul level, it's about now you've shaped your entire sexuality with selfishness. Are you with me? Are you with me? Now, what if you were just a simple Bible preacher? What if you were just a simple Bible guy, and you were looking at this same illustration and this same problem, right? The neuroscientist says, oh, this is a mess. It's not good. And the evolutionary biologist says, don't you look at human, this is a mess in the body, and blah, blah, blah. And the theologians and the philosophers are all saying this. And then there's this Bible preacher guy. He gets up and he goes, well, you know, maybe the problem is we just don't trust the God who made us with the way he made us. What if it's as simple as that? That this all boils down to some level of trust and faith. And we just don't trust what God, the Creator, has made us to be. And if you would just trust this one who made us for the outcomes, and the outcomes that would be best in your heart and in your body and in your mind, the outcomes would be better. The outcomes would be better. Back to the text. Flee sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside the body. Whoever sins sexually sins against their own body. Remember the great words of the theologian Kenny Rogers. You got to know when to run. You got to know when to run. The evolutionary biologist says we are at an unprecedented risk of what we're doing with human sexuality. The neuroscientist says there's an unprecedented change that's happening inside the brains of people engaged in these patterns. The theologians say, don't you see how this is shaping society? Less connection, less family, less true love, less actual intimacy, and more just selfish gratification and selfish outcomes. Don't you see it? The Bible teacher says, hey, what if we just said, this is going to be a real battle, right? This is going to be a real battle. And they've engineered all this stuff in such a way that makes us sheep wanting more and more of something that'll never make us healthy and never fill us and never really bring us to a sense of healthy relationship. We won't get the outcomes we want, but we'll keep feeding on it over and over and over again. What if we just trust that his way is better than our way? And that the battle on this is not something to engage in and tinker with or say to yourself, I can fight this, but just run from this. And you go, okay, maybe. Remember that the whole concept behind the biblical worldview on human sexuality, it simply boils down to this one simple concept. That sex and that expression of love, that physical expression of love, is best defined inside of a selfless commitment. Selfless commitment. Are you with me? That's the best form and the best arena for human sexuality to flourish. For there to be real, beautiful connection, intimacy, growth, affection, all of these things. That's the arena that it best flourishes. Are you with me? That's just the simple reality. Anything else, and you can apply, we could do another illustration. We'll do it another Sunday. I know you love my illustrations. We'll do it another Sunday when you meet 40-year-old, right? And we'll do 40-year-old woman or whatever. We can do it. I promise you apply the concept around human sexuality to any outcome on sexuality that doesn't include selfless commitment. Any avenue that doesn't include selfless commitment at some level, you're going to get results that are not what God intended. That's a simple reality. That's what the simple outcomes from a Bible guy go. Hey, pursue sexual gratification in some avenue that doesn't include selfless commitment to someone else. We call that marriage forever, right? Pursue it any way you want. Turn sex into a conquest. It'll be a disaster for you. Turn sex into selfishness, into lust. Trust me, it will not make you better. It will not make your soul better, not make your mind better, not make your body better. Whatever it is, and we could go down this road, a number of different ways, a number of different illustrations, and we'll do it some Sunday. We'll just keep going, right? I'll just keep going. Okay, 80-year-old, blah, blah, whatever, Well, it's exciting. That's the Bible in a nutshell on this. Look at it one more time. This is our theme verse for the series. God will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will provide, look at that, the way of escape. The way of escape. Are you with me? The way of escape. And for some of us, especially for some of the young people in the room that are going to be struggling with this maybe more than some of the other people, focus for just a second. Are you ready? You're going to have to make choices as you move through the world to opt out of certain broken patterns if you want healthy long-term relationships later. I think that the temptation is always to tell yourself, no, I can toy with this. I can toy with this and it won't affect my body. It won't affect my mind. It won't affect my soul, right? It won't lead to these outcomes. Look at me. Ready? Roll the dice if you want to. But undefeated. Sin is undefeated in this area, in this realm. This is one you go, oh, I'm always going to be at war on this. The war is never going to go away. It doesn't even get easier to some extent, but I will have to flee from this at some level. What do? Last week we said this. We said this simple thing. We said flee from sin, not the war, meaning that we're not opting out of the battle completely. We're just on this issue. We're going to have to flee. And we're fleeing not to not deal with it. We're fleeing to a place of power. That's worship. That's connection. That's healthy relationship. We're fleeing to a place of accountability. We're fleeing to having more people involved in supporting our life, praying for our life, connecting. Those are the places we're fleeing to. We're going to places of power, not isolation, not a sense of aloneness, not a sense of a lone ranger. We're going towards relationship and not away. We're fleeing to places of spiritual power, worship, prayer, connecting, Bible study, those kind of things that help in shape the way we move through the world. Are you with me? Simple things like that. All right. I've laid out my case. I'll let you digest that the way you want to. Let's take a moment before we take communion. Night before Jesus was crucified, he took bread and wine, gave it to his closest friends, said, "This is my body broken for you and blood shed for you." bread symbolized the body broken and the wine, the bloodshed. These are the means by which we are forgiven. The means by which we are made new. For those that come in even today, struggling deeply with this, God's forgiveness, God's mercies are new every morning. I pray that you would lean in to a God that loves you and wants what's best for you. Take it neat, take it drink, give thanks. Would you join me standing? Let me pray for you. Father, we ask your blessings upon everyone that's gathered, from the top of their head to the bottom of their feet. May they be blessed in your name and blessed by the hearing of your word. Father, you are good and your mercies endure forever, and we thank you for your grace and forgiveness, especially in this area. Father, may we leave here inspired again that your ways are better. Your ways are always better, and may we pursue you. And we pray. Amen. Goodbye. God bless. Love you. Mean it.